Welcome to the Divorce View Talk Show. You can find us at divorceview.com. Hello, it's Joanie Winberg, the founder and the CEO of the National Association of Divorce for Women and Children, and also of the group coaching online program called How to Emotionally Survive Divorce. It's always my pleasure to do this show together with my co-host, Rosalind Sadaka. Hello, Roz.
Hi, Joanie. Good to see you this week. I'm Rosalind Sadaka. I'm recognized as the voice of child-centered divorce, founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network, and author of How Do I Tell the Kids About the Divorce. And we have a guest today who is going to really give you insights from a divorce attorney's perspective on how to create an amicable divorce, which is the goal of the Child-Centered Divorce Network, the goal that Joanie and I work so hard to help you towards, and we're very excited to have a wonderful family law attorney, and I say this because she cares about the family, and that makes a huge difference. Her name is Tammy Saltzman. I'm so sorry. And Tammy is a friend of mine, so the fact that I've messed up her name is even worse. She is not only an attorney, but a mediator, and has a strong connection with keeping her clients out of the courts and into the most amicable outcome possible. So welcome, Tammy.
Thank you, Rosalind. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're thrilled you're here. That's great, Tammy. So you see it all, being a litigator and also involved in collaborative law and mediation. So I just want our listeners to know that you have seen it all, have done it all, and are really coming from a great perspective to help people really understand all of this. So I know you have some great points that you want to share with us on talking about if divorce is really amicable. So Tammy, why don't you take it away and start and share with us and give us some hot tips here.
Okay, so an amicable divorce is always possible. It is up to the parties to determine the direction that the divorce is going to take. And the bottom line is that if you want an amicable divorce, then you need to advocate for an amicable divorce. And so I'm here to tell you ways that you can save time, save money, and save aggravation more than anything else, and get to the end as quickly as possible. So,
Great.
So my first tip, when you are considering a divorce, the first thing I want to tell your listeners is the grass is not always greener on the other side. It's not. And so, I really want to instill in you to try everything. Go to your rabbi and your priest. Go to a therapist. Go to a marital therapist. Go to an intimacy workshop. Go on a vacation. Figure out every possible solution to try to save your marriage, because it will be the most amicable if you can stay married and avoid divorce altogether. If divorce is inevitable, and sometimes it is inevitable. I myself am divorced. So sometimes you cannot save a marriage. So my first piece of advice for you, go find an attorney in your area and have a 1-hour consultation with that attorney. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about how to find the right attorney, but for the 1-hour consult, it's not so necessary to be with the right attorney. A lot of attorneys offer 30 minutes or a 1-hour free consult, and it doesn't mean that you have to hire them to do your divorce. When you have your 1-hour consult, this is before you even begin the process, you want to know what your legal rights are in your state. I can only give you advice on what your legal rights are here in Florida. In Florida, this is a no-fault state, so it doesn't matter how bad you are, there's no punishment. And it's a 50-50 state, so everything is divided equally. Your state may be different. You may have a legal separation time period. Here in Florida, we do not have that. So you must consult with a lawyer from your state and find out what your legal rights are. And the question I would ask is, what is my best day in court and what is my worst day in court. So you know the range of good and bad. This is the best result for me. This is the best I could get. And this is
explain that a little bit more. So, I mean, and hopefully they're not even going to go to court, but if they are, you know, what do you mean by good day, bad day?
Sometimes couples come in and they're like, I want sole custody of the kids. Well, unless you can prove that the relationship with the other parent is so damaging or detrimental, it is very unlikely to get sole parental responsibility for your kids. And it could be custody in some states, the word custody. Here we have time sharing. Some states use different language when it has to do with the children. Some women come in and say, I want him to support me for the rest of my life, and they've only been married 3 years. You know, you have to have realistic expectations, and the only way, it's not going to be by what your friends tell you, it's not going to be how your sister had it, it's going to be based on your circumstances, how long you're married, how much you make, what your education is, what his education is, what does he earn, how many children do you have, what are your circumstances. You will find once you mention the word divorce that everyone has an opinion. Do not listen. Their opinions do not matter. It doesn't matter. Each family has their own special set of circumstances, and that is what is going to determine what your best case is and your worst case is. I had a woman come in last week. Her husband makes $90,000 a year. She makes $35,000. She wants him to give her $5,000 a month. It's not going to happen that easily. You can't just have a number in your mind.
Follow a formula.
A lot of states have a formula. In Florida, alimony is based on A, how long you've been married, B, what your need is, and 3, what is the other spouse's ability to pay for your needs. So there's a lot that goes into it. But once you're armed with your best and worst case scenario, somewhere in the middle is the amicable divorce. An amicable divorce is not where one person gets everything they want and the other person gets nothing. That's not amicable. That's litigation.
Oh, it doesn't work that way?
Right. Now, if we're going and meeting with a lawyer, and it will be different lawyers, and you find out what your best and worst case scenario is, somewhere in the middle, you want this, she wants that, somewhere here is your mediation or your amicable divorce. Okay, so that's
so well done, so well said, Tammy, because you really got people stopping in their tracks and understanding the reality versus the fantasy of what it's like talking to a lawyer about this. So thank you.
Yeah, and a lot of times people think, oh, I know what we have, and he's going to take care of me, or she's going to be fair with me, or I'll let you see the kids whenever you want. And that is not an agreement. And you're trusting, but this is business. Splitting up
business, that's the key word.
Right, you know, splitting up your assets and your debts and creating a parenting plan, you can't trust each other. It's better to have it all in writing, and before you reduce it to writing, you need to know what your rights are before you give them away. My second piece of advice is try to settle as much as you can before you hire a lawyer. So most courts have what's called a self-help center. If you go to the self-help center at the courthouse, you can usually get the clerk of court to give you a stack of forms based on your circumstances. So like if you have 2 kids and a house, you would go to the clerk and say, I'm married, I have 2 kids and property. They'll give you the right set of forms for that particular circumstance. If you're a do-it-yourself person, you can fill all these forms out yourself and be a do it on your own. And they call that pro se. When you hear that language, I'm pro se. Pro se means I do not have a lawyer. A lot of lawyers, like myself, will review all of the documents for you, if you'd like, before you submit them to the court. But in that packet of documents, the first thing you want to look at is the parenting plan. So if you have kids, in Florida, we follow a PEACE acronym. And PEACE stands for P is for parenting, E is for equitable distribution, A is for alimony, C is for child support, and the last D is for everything else not covered above. And we'll get to those topics. So the first thing you address is parenting. You do not need a lawyer or a judge to tell you what's fair between you and your spouse when it comes to parenting. You need to sit down with the parenting plan, read it together, check off as much as you can, and anything that you are not sure of or anything that you're not comfortable with or any part of it that you disagree, highlight it. But fill it out as much as possible. Clearly the kids are going to spend Father's Day with the father and Mother's Day with the mother. After you finish your parenting plan and you get as much done as possible, the next is equitable distribution. You list your assets. Assets is a car, a house, jewelry exchanged during a marriage, not an engagement ring, only during the marriage. You're going to list your house. You're going to list your stocks, your bonds, your timeshares, your life insurance policies. All of that is considered assets, 401ks. So that's your assets, and then your debts, credit card debt, mortgages, equity lines, loans to family members, student loans, all of that gets listed. In the state of Florida, it's 50-50. And you figure out who's getting what asset. How are you going to split it up? What are you comfortable with? And consult a CPA, consult a financial planner, find out one IRA may be taxable when you put the money in, and another IRA may be taxable when you take the money out. You want to know, you don't want to take everything that's taxable later. You want to split all of it evenly so they both have the same tax consequence. After you do, and if you can, anything you're not sure of, highlight it. Settle as much as you can. Then we go to alimony. You've got to look at the statute in your state. Every state is different. Alimony in Florida is based on how many years you're married and how much you need, what your needs are, and what your ability to pay for the other spouse's needs.
Can I ask a question on this real? As far as I was under the opinion, and it might just be what I'm hearing, is alimony really still happening as much, or most people don't?
It is, and different. I can't speak for others.
But every state different, yeah.
But
okay.
Here in Florida right now, we have guidelines for the length of the marriage, and we have different types of alimony. We have rehabilitative alimony, so if a spouse wants to go back to school or get a certification. We have temporary alimony. We have permanent alimony. We have all different types, lump sum alimony. So there's lots of different alimonies, and that's why you go for the 1-hour consult so you can find out what is the alimony statute in this state, okay?
Okay.
After we do alimony, now when you get alimony, it's considered income, and it's usually taxable. So when you figure out child support, the reason why you do alimony first is because the alimony needs to be added into your income to determine, in Florida anyway, what the child support amount is. And we use a program, we plug in the numbers, we plug in insurance costs, health insurance costs for each individual, plus the child, and any daycare or aftercare costs go into the formula as well. And then we do 2 formulas, switching the tax deduction from one year to the next, parent to parent. So E, everything else, would be, do we need life insurance to secure child support and alimony? Do we have a family property that we're going to keep and we're going to rotate the years? What are we doing about the kids' cars and car insurance once they're of that age? What about college for the kids? These are all things that a judge does not have jurisdiction to rule on. So these are things that you as a family may want to discuss so that you can agree to it in advance. So that's a lot of information, I know, but I'm trying to condense it as much as possible and give you as much information in a short period of time.
Okay, now I know you have tip number 3. I love this one. Honesty is the best policy.
Yes, honesty is the best policy. So a lot of times You try to hide assets. You try to, and I'm not saying you or anyone in particular, but a lot of times you want to hide things. You don't do full disclosure. You omit things. I want to tell you 9 out of 10 times you get caught. You get caught up in the lie. The lawyers are not idiots. The judges are not idiots. Your spouses are not idiots. And if you are caught lying, your credibility is shot. It's shot with the lawyer, it's shot with your spouse, and it is totally shot with the lawyer.
Have you seen this happen? Have you actually seen this happen?
I have seen so many spouses lie. Someone did a financial affidavit, and in his deposition, he said he had $60,000 in Canada, and nowhere on the affidavit was the $60,000. Then when we went to court and I asked him, where is the $60,000 on your financial? I don't have $60,000, so now I have to read back into the court records, the deposition. I've even had lawyers lie to a judge in court. Horrible. When lawyers lie, oh my God, I don't know how their reputations speak for themselves. So honesty is the best policy. Honesty with your lawyer, honesty with yourself, honesty with your spouse. It is so much better to just be honest and then pick yourself up, wipe yourself off, and move on. You know, you can hold your head up high when you have integrity.
Absolutely. And I didn't know the stats of 9 out of 10 times, or the majority of the time people get caught. So that's good to know.
Always. And if you're in court, the judge is going to be making the decision at that point. And just imagine what he thinks when he hears it. And you know, my grandmother used to say, where there's smoke, there's fire. So sometimes even when you can't 100% prove it, if it smells funny, chances are it is funny. So yes, I recommend that we are always honest, and that's, you know, we talked about accessing the forms online. Okay, I want to talk a little bit, and this is really important, finding the right attorney, okay? So everyone thinks that they need a shark, and I have heard this time and time again. When you are looking to do an amicable divorce, you want an attorney that cares about your family. When you come and see them, they're going to ask you, how are you doing? How are your kids doing? They're going to have tissues available if you cry, and they probably will hug you at the end of the consult. That is who I would want to represent me, and that is how I treat my clients. So you're looking for, and when you're doing an amicable divorce, a heart-based attorney. In their websites, you're going to look for language like, we care about the family. We try to minimize litigation. We are a caring, heartfelt law firm. We care. We're accessible. I don't know how many attorneys out there have their cell phone on their business card, but I do. And if my clients call me at night or on weekends and they really need me, I'm there for them. So do you need that? You know, a lot of times women attorneys can be more compassionate, but not always. Sometimes they could be nasty. I always look for someone who's been there and done that.
Exactly.
Like when you need a GYN, you don't go to that. I'm sorry.
Well, you know what, to me, Tammy, to me, you're the perfect role model because you know your stuff, you're firm, you're direct, but it's like a tough love. So to me, I know I would be in the right hands, but I know that you do care. So, I mean, that's the balance that I would look for. So to me, you're the perfect role model of what an attorney should be. So hats off to you, Tammy.
Thank you so much. And don't be afraid to ask your attorney, what is this going to cost me? You know, when they file a motion, what is it going to cost me? Don't just say, okay, because I'm going to get a bill for $4,000. Like, that was just assumption. So, very clear with your attorney. how much it's costing, what are your fees, and how to that minimize the litigation costs, because there's only so much money. Everything you have, imagine it in a shoebox. After the shoebox is empty, there's no more money. So if you give all the money to the lawyers, you have nothing left for you and the children. Litigation, the only one who wins are the lawyers, because they make a lot of money. When they have clients that want to win, they're like, oh, it's going to be a fun thing. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Can I just interject for a moment that you mentioned that talking about an amicable divorce, and we need to focus on why having an amicable divorce is so important, because your children are affected by the divorce process.
Yeah.
So we need to understand that going to an attorney like Tammy and having a mediation and not a litigation is not only valuable in the short term of the divorce, but the consequences are going to play out for months and years and decades to come in the aftermath of the divorce. And a heart-based attorney is going to set you on the right path, as opposed to starting you in a litigious, conflict-ridden situation that's hard to undo in the co-parenting process.
Yeah, you want to be with lawyers that are talking mediation, negotiation, collaboration, not litigation. And so we'll talk a little bit about different ways to get to court. So we talked a little bit about pro se, you go to the courthouse and do it yourself. You could hire a mediator. Not all lawyers will do pro se mediations. I will, but there are a lot of mental health counselors that are mediators that work with pro se couples. And so they can do a mediation agreement for you and help you settle whatever you highlighted in yellow on your paperwork, so to speak. There's also a new movement for collaboration. Collaboration is where each party hires a lawyer and everyone signs an agreement saying, we're not going to litigate the courthouse to determine the outcome of this case. We are going to agree to negotiate amongst ourselves. And that quite often saves a lot of time. Usually there's a mental health counselor or a mediator moderating the collaboration, and it helps keep everyone calm, cool, and collected. It's quite wonderful. And then, of course, the last way is litigation attorney. Now, every single attorney should have a flat fee for an uncontested divorce. So if you come into me and you already have most of your stuff done and you have no children, in Florida I charge $3,000 flat fee for an uncontested divorce. If you have kids, $3,500. And then in Florida, you pay a cost for filing, which is $409. So if the attorney does not have a flat fee for an uncontested divorce, you're with the wrong lawyer. If the lawyer's retainer is over $5,000, you are with the wrong lawyer. Lawyers that have retainer agreements that are $7,500, $10,000, they plan on using all of that money. You will not get a refund. So you want to be with a lawyer that retainer is for an uncontested divorce $3,000, or if I'm doing litigation, $5,000. Because even if I'm hired in a litigation situation, I'm still trying to mediate, negotiate, and collaborate.
Absolutely.
Tammy, can we ask you to give us access to how we can find you? Give us your name and your website and any other contact information so people can find you.
Certainly. My name is Tammy Saltzman. I'm located in Boca Raton, Florida. I handle divorces in Palm Beach and Broward County. My website is T like Tom, B like boy, S like Sam, lawpa.com. Or you can go see my divorce show I have my own little divorce show just like this on internet TV. It's called Divorce Connection Network, and you can find me there at divorceconnectionnetwork.com. And you can see in the archives some of our shows that we've done, just like and Rosalind, Joanie and Rosalind. This is great information for your listeners.
It's awesome. It's incredible, and it's really to the point, but very clear. And I'm hoping that our listeners have taken some good notes, and depending on whatever state they're in, but go find out what like you said, and then go from there. Just great information, Tammy. I'm thrilled that you've been on the show. Is there any other last-minute tip you'd like to share with us?
One last tip: compromise, compromise, compromise. I had a client once fight over Chanel sunglasses.
Oh my.
The cost of the sunglasses was $600. If I tell you she could have bought 10 pairs of sunglasses for what it cost for us to fight about those freaking sunglasses, it amazes me. So,
good point.
Right. Compromise. Let go of the little things. Focus on the big things. And one last tip before I go. Never, and I do mean never, say anything bad about your spouse or their boyfriend or girlfriend to your children, in front of your children, or anywhere your children might be in ears lane. You will end up being very sorry because your children, instead of being mad at the other spouse, will end up mad at you.
You got it. So clear. Perfect.
Tammy Saltzman, because he tells it like it is.
I love it.
So
it is what it is, and you know what? If you need therapy, get a therapist. Treat your divorce like a business transaction. In and out as quick as possible. The emotion, he hurt me, he cheated on me, she stole my glasses, she ruined my job, all that, unnecessary.
Yep, definitely let that go for sure. Well, thanks, Tammy, again so much for being on the show. We
Thanks
really
so
are thrilled and definitely want to have you back. Absolutely.
It would be my
definitely. And also, you can see this video as many times as you like. If you weren't able to take all the notes at once today, go to divorceview.com and you will see the show, and then it also will be in our archives. And also, we are now a podcast, and you'll get that information on divorceview.com of the podcast, so you can listen to it wherever you are. So that's very handy for you. And Roz, also, I just want the listeners to know what they can, how you can support them as well.
Absolutely. At the Child Centered Divorce Network, childcentereddivorce.com, you'll find a free ebook on post-divorce parenting, valuable resources and information, advice and tips, everything you need to know to protect and safeguard your children before, during, and after divorce, including a 10-hour co-parenting audio coaching program with workbook that's very, very valuable to support you. And Joanie, what support do you provide?
The best website would be to go to freshstartafterdivorce.com, and that's just what it is. There we're all about the tools to help you move forward, and that's communication tools, assessments, stress management, all of that. So it's actually a program that I teach in the corporate world that I also teach to people after divorce, but it's a group coaching program, how to emotionally survive divorce, and then you can go to freshstartafterdivorce.com. So once again, thanks, Tammy, for being on the show, and always to my great co-host, Roz. Love having you on the show here together doing this. And don't forget to tune in every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. But until then, next week, have a great week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.